Welcome everyone to another episode of Dimensions of Wellbeing. I'm Denise O'Malley, the host and the founder of You Define Wellness. Dimensions of Wellbeing is a program that we have created to introduce our viewers to the many different myriads of what makes us what, because we're not just one thing. We are a myriad of all these different dimensions of physical, emotional, financial, social, and belonging, and spiritual and intellectual, occupational and environmental. I had to think of what they all were real quick. And so what I like to do is I like to introduce you to a provider in our network. We're going to have a conversation about the dimensions of well-being, but we're also going to introduce you to who they are, what they do, and why they're doing what they're doing. So joining me today is Dr. Shalom Samuel of Shalom Family Chiropractic in Madison, Wisconsin. Just before we went into this, I said all flubs are probably mine, and sure enough, there it is. So Dr. Shalom, thank you very much for joining me today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So I'm excited to talk to you. Number one, I get to know you a little bit better. And number two, I just love to hear different philosophies and perspectives of the well-being. But first of all, can you tell us a little bit about what it is that you do?
Well, like you mentioned before, I am a prenatal and postpartum chiropractor, family chiropractor in Madison. So I mostly see families, and something different is that once mom and dad start to get care, they see the potential benefits of it for their whole family. And so that's how it began. It actually began from me having a bad experience trying to be a mom. And that stemmed from having, being in 48 hours of labor and then having an emergency C-section and not being heard.
Oh my God.
So that's what I didn't really have a niche when I graduated school. I just see everyone basically. But I thought that my calling was more personal than that. And so that's what stemmed into seeing more pregnant mamas, seeing more babies. And then it went into, why am I only seeing, pregnant mamas and babies? I'm also seeing people that want to get pregnant, because when you start good care, when you start good care, even prior conception, so pre-conception, then their conception is good, their birth is good, therefore they're, less likelihood of issues with birth. And all the babies hitting their milestones without any issues and keeping their nervous system in check. So better healthcare overall into the future. So
I don't think I've talked to a lot of chiropractors over the years. I don't think I've ever talked to one who has the focus that you have. And I am delighted to hear that you are doing it. Before we started recording, I was chatting with you and I shared with you that every one of my 3 children on the way home from the hospital stopped by and met the chiropractor on the way home, who gave them an adjustment. And people were like, oh, you can't do that to an infant, especially a newborn. You can. It's not where you're putting them on the table and you're cracking their backs,
Right. Super gentle.
It's super gentle, super loving, and they loved it. So
babies are the best patients because they receive care so well. Like, they just melt into your hand while you give that super simple adjustment and they receive it. Adults, we have all these realms, like you talked about dimensions. You have the emotional aspect, the physical trauma and spiritual, all of these combined, so you have to deal with not just the physical realm, but in different aspects. So you're not receiving your adjustment, you're going out of alignment so soon, then I have to ask what's going on stressfully, what's going on emotionally, what's happening with the family. And you have to deal with all of that. But babies, they're just there. They're just hanging out.
And they can't communicate that there's something that they don't necessarily know they're not feeling good. Especially when they're a newborn, right? But they know the difference when you've made that very, very soft adjustment. And it's fantastic. And I'm going to apologize right now. My dog is protecting our home, evidently upstairs from somebody walking their dog past it. So anyways, if we hear it, hey, this is 2021. What can I say? So what you're saying is that people are bringing in, adults are bringing in their baggage, all the things that are going on. And so as a chiropractor, you're dealing with not just the physical aspect of the human body, but you're having to also look at those other dimensions and seeing how they are coming into play with how someone's feeling.
Yeah. For example, if someone had a dear one pass away that week, well, they're not going to hold their adjustment too well. I do mostly in the upper neck or cranial. So that releases the emotional tension a little bit, and to talk about it. Sometimes we all have to be a little therapist, you know?
Yeah.
So to listening to them and how they're coping with it and all that also pertains. Or if they had a job loss in the family, or they themselves lost a job, then that goes into the mental stress as well. So often people ask me, well, what causes these misalignments, you know? So the three things that cause misalignments are thoughts, traumas, and toxins. So thoughts, in whichever dimension you are, you know, positivity leads to more positivity. Good things happen, right? So negativity leads to more negativity.
Right.
So turning that negative energy into a positive one plays a big role. You can see the difference between a positive person having a negative issue and a negative person having a negative issue as well. The positive person will be able to hold their adjustment better because their outlook is different. So that's thoughts. Traumas, our very first trauma that we talked about is birth. No matter if it's a C-section or vaginal delivery, always there's that trauma. Statistically, 100 to 150 pounds of pressure are put on the baby's spine when they're coming out. Depends upon the weight of the doctor, basically. So that's their first trauma. And then every milestone we hit, we fall on our butts, learning to walk, learning to crawl, hit our heads, climb trees, fall on our butts many times, learn to ride a bike, play football. All of these things are traumas. Even the stress of, you know, moving, that's also a trauma, you know, even though it's a good stress, it's still a stress. Even though we forget it, sometimes our bodies don't. So we did thoughts, traumas, and toxins, the things that we put into our system, the air that we breathe. So pharmaceutical, whether it's smoking, breathing the smoke, all of those have an impact on us as well, the things that we put on ours. So those are the three things that cause misalignments. But the number one thing people come in to see chiropractors are usually pain. But once you start to explain all these things, then it makes whole sense.
Okay, I've been going to chiropractic for a very long time. I have never had, and I've seen a lot of chiropractors. I've never had anyone explain that to me before.
Yeah.
And I love it.
That's the first thing I do on first visit is to explain that.
And I've never, especially the last part, the toxins. And, you know, that's something that we are starting to spend a lot of time talking about at Define Wellness. And that, you know, the toxins come in all different forms, from the dryer sheets that you throw in with your clothes to
makeup,
the cleaning products that you're using, to the fact that you may be exposed to meth in your home and you don't even know it. Because of a prior tenant or owner of the house. So there's all kinds of different toxins, and I never knew that I never thought about it coming together with chiropractic care.
Yeah, because your nervous system basically filters everything, and for your brain to send signals to the rest of your body and your glands to work at optimum level, your spine needs to be aligned. And when you're breathing in things or putting in things in your body that don't help that situation, then that signals get cut off.
Okay.
So I often say that it's not just me doing work on your body. It's a two-way street. If I'm doing things to help your spine and body heal better, you also should be doing, like, drinking lots of water, because we're working with muscles and joints, and not, you know, eating lots of sugar. Right. Getting in enough vitamin D, or, you know, things like that. So it's always a two-way street. You can't just, and my goal is not to have them have bodies dependent on my hands or care. Right. My goal is to have the body adapt, have your body enhance its adaptability, basically, to the stressful environment. You know, that's the whole point.
That is the whole point. You know, when we own a car, we take it to the auto mechanic to, you know, change the oil and filters and things like that. But then we also have to be doing our own maintenance as we go along. Otherwise, we're going to be paying more money in the long run,
Yep.
having to go back more often to the
Mhm.
mechanic. It's the same thing. Our body is a machine and we have to treat it
Yep.
right. It's absolutely true. So let me ask you a couple questions. I'm intrigued by your background. What made you choose chiropractic in the first place?
Well, since I was a little kid in India, I wanted to be some sort of a doctor.
Okay.
And a lot of people around me had a lot of skin issues. And so I thought I'm supposed to be a dermatologist. So that was the whole plan. Went to UW Parkside in the pre-med program, hoping to take the MCAT one day and get into med school.
Mm-hmm.
And it was also a dream of mine to go do a study abroad in Australia. So I did a year study abroad at my junior year of college. And when I was there, I had all my fun and did the studying abroad, explored a lot. And then when I came back, I didn't sign up for my dorm for my senior year. So one of my friends who got married when I was gone said, hey, why don't you just take my room at my parents' house? And we got to know each other, and turns out that their whole family were chiropractors.
Oh.
Yep. So the dad, brother, the brother's kids, they're all chiropractors right now in the Kenosha area. So I was like, what? And I threw my back out one of the days playing volleyball, and he fixed me and I was fine. And I was like, no medication, no injection.
Wow.
How was this possible? And so I ended up doing an internship with him. And I saw people would come like with bent backs and would walk out straight. Babies would come with constipation or haven't pooped in like 10 days, and they would void then and there and then leave. And so I was like, now what do? I want to do this or, take the route. So I prayed a lot and decided that if I do well in my MCAT and got into the school I wanted, then I would take that route. If not, I would go into chiropractic school. I was 2 points short of going into whatever school, I don't even remember anymore, that school. So I asked him, where do people go to chiropractic school? And he said, Palmer College of Chiropractic, where chiropractic was born in Davenport, Iowa. And 4 years later, I'm a chiropractor.
I just believe that it was the universe saving you from yourself with those 2 points and not getting it, because it sounds like where you needed to be was as a chiropractor. It's in alignment with your values, your vision, not to say that being a medical doctor would not have.
Right.
But with the philosophy of, wow, you could do this and not have to take a pill, or surgery or something else. It's very much a holistic, whole body approach to everything. That is fantastic. Awesome. So coming into this video today, you may have had something in mind that you wanted to make sure that you shared. Were there any final thoughts that you want to cover that we have not discussed today?
Well, just the world that we live in is surrounded by different kinds of stress, COVID and chemicals and diets and everything. And just like everyone says, everything in moderation, right? Yeah. So our body is always fighting there's two systems in our body, the parasympathetic and sympathetic system. So the gas pedal, like if we talk about it in like car, gas pedal, our bodies need to know when to press the brake and when to press the gas pedal. Unfortunately, most of us are always braking. We're always in fight or flight mode. The bear's always chasing us after something or another. But if we don't get that rest and relax phase, we don't get that rest and relaxation, then no matter what we do to further ourselves, our kids, we'll be all burnt out. So keeping that in mind, if we have a stressful environment, take some time for yourself, have some peace and quiet. Get that rejuvenation back, get a massage, go get chiropractic care, do something so that you are able. Most of us do things for our families, for our kids, to help others. Well, you need to be at your optimum level in order to actually serve others, right? So keep that in mind, that if you are under stress, have a check every day, have like a 5-minute check. How is your mental stability doing? If you do that, you are able to serve others in a better way. because you're able to take care of yourself, and you are an example for others as well. You know, like she's taking care of herself. Why can't I? So I'm better prepared for better things. And we can avoid a lot of injuries, a lot of discomfort, a lot of ailments if we keep that in check.
So well said. Somebody just said to me recently, you can't light a fire in the world with wet matches, and we need to take care of ourselves first. So Dr. Shalom Samuel, thank you very much for joining me today and sharing your wisdom on the different dimensions of well-being. And for those who are watching this video, I urge you to reach out to her, particularly if you are in the Madison, Wisconsin area and you are looking for a new chiropractor. She is your go-to person. So absolutely look her up. She's in the Wellness Center at Unifying Wellness, and tell her that you saw her on this video. With that being said, everyone, we hope to see you on another Dimensions of Wellbeing very soon.